Hello, hello. Welcome, everybody. How's everybody doing tonight? Oh, yeah. September energy on this rainy day. Welcome to StorySLAM, the 2025-2026 season. This is the first StorySLAM of the 2025-2026 season. I'm Jennifer Cambris, Director of Production and Special Projects here at Montclair Film. The bar is open tonight, so please feel free to go visit our lovely bartenders and get some concessions while I'm making these announcements and during deliberation after the storytellers finish up. A few announcements before tonight's event. If you have always dreamed about being part of the Montclair Film Festival, I want to let you know about our next StorySLAM, which just happens to be during the Montclair Film Festival. On Thursday, October 23rd, the theme is going to be Scary Stories for the Screen. Have you ever been told that the paranormal or scary story that happened to you should be made into a movie? Here's your shot to tell us the plot and raise the hair on the backs of our necks. Deadline to submit your summary will be October 10th. Tomorrow night, we have Montclair Improv Comedy right here at Cinema 505 at 8 p.m. We will also have a special screening of the film Strange Journey, the story of Rocky Horror, with some raffles and introductions by the ordinary kids at the Claridge. We've started a new series with our friend Gerard Amsalem from La Cinematheque Film Club called The Space Between, Journeys in Iranian Cinema. The next film is Where is the Friend's House on October 5th at the Claridge. On October 9th, we have two events happening here at Cinema 505. We have a discussion called Hitchcock and the Dawn of Modern Era. And at the Claridge, we have a special screening of J.S. Bach, Mass in B minor, followed by a Q&A with the American Classical Orchestra's artistic director, Thomas Crawford, and producer, James Sapione. Our fall film classes are now on sale for tweens, teens, and adults. Have fun and learn something new this fall and take your skills to the next level. And most importantly, tomorrow at noon, we are announcing the incredible lineup for this year's Montclair Film Festival. Thank you. We're really excited. And if you happen to be on Bloomfield Avenue around 11 a.m., you're going to see a lot of our staff members sweating as we empty the truck all together to unload the 12,000 catalogs that get dropped off. And what I would say is the first place we put them are the Claridge, so feel free to stop by the Claridge around noon tomorrow. We can't wait to see you all for the great films and events that are coming to Montclair. You can grab the festival catalogs around town starting on Saturday. Tickets go on sale for our Montclair Film members on Monday, September 29th at 10 a.m., montclairfilm.org, and the general public on Friday, October 3rd at 10 a.m. If you're not a member, now is a great time to become one. Can I see if there's any members in the house tonight? Yes, guys, amazing. So if you're going to become a member and you've been considering it, this is the time to do that. You'll be able to get discounts on tickets to the festival, the Claridge, and soon to be the Bellevue Theater in Upper Montclair, which we are so excited to. We are working very hard, construction, and Zach Zembauer right over here is the man of the hour who is going to make the Bellevue happen. They have been there every day, 7 days a week, trying to turn it around. So the first screening will happen on the 18th of the festival, and it will kick off at noon with a really amazing choice. So I'm excited for you guys to find out. I can't say it because it's till tomorrow noon. Okay. Anyway, whatever. It's gonna be amazing. You'll be helping to support the work that we do all year long. You can find out more information on these events and so much more at montclairfilm.org. Be sure to sign up for our emails and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Blue Sky to make sure you're the first to know about all the great upcoming events. And as Kareem can attest, who manages all of our socials content, sometimes that is the first place that we put a really amazing hot ticket that's coming to our coming as an option, and it will hit the socials before it will hit email. So please start doing that because that's how you get the most up-to-date information. Hit like, hit follow. It makes Kareem really happy. It gives him a dopamine hit. Yeah, we like to make Kareem happy. Please note our fire exits on your left and your right, and the restrooms are out your left and outside the door. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to your host this evening, Duncan Miller. He is our storytelling teacher and coach here at Montclair Film. Duncan is a former actor and improviser who has performed with the Second City and Improv Olympic in Chicago. He has performed in various theaters, short films, and festivals in New York City, Chicago, and Baltimore prior to earning his master's degree in education. Currently, he is a high school academic dean at North Star Academy in Newark, helping to guide the next generation of storytellers. Please welcome Duncan Miller.
Thank you, Jennifer. Good evening, everybody. I'm so excited to be here. I'm so excited our StorySLAM season is back. There are a lot of new faces. We already saw our members. But let's get a hand in the air. Who's never been here before? All right, let's give them a round of applause. Welcome to 505. Welcome to Montclair Film Community. Our returning storyteller faces, our returning veteran audience members. It's so nice to see you again. I hope you had a wonderful summer. We're so glad to be back. Tonight, we are working with the theme, Do You Remember? I had to restrain myself from singing. I don't know if you could see that within my body. But this baffling September weather, we're really excited to get a bunch of stories of that let loose moment that sets your night on fire, if you will. Those core memories that we're going to hear from all of our storytellers tonight. We are really, really thrilled to have three amazing judges tonight. They are here in our second row. Let's give them a round of applause. All three judges are members of our community. They are filmmakers, producers, storytellers in their own right. They are the ones in charge tonight. This is a friendly competition. We will have 3 prizes to give tonight, and the first prize also gets a year-long membership to Montclair Film. So, very exciting things. We want to introduce our judges first and foremost, so you know who's going to take the reins here shortly, and then we'll get to this wonderful series of storytellers. First up, here in the middle, we have Trisha Haggerty-Wenz. Let's give it up for Trisha. Now, this is a formal introduction. Trisha is the brand new executive director here at Montclair Film. Prior to joining Montclair Film, she served as the director of development for Real Art Ways in Hartford, Connecticut, where she worked for 8 years leading fundraising efforts and first building acquisition and expansion projects. Previously, she founded and ran nonprofit Safe Harbors in Newburgh, New York, where she led a multi-million-dollar development project that included the renovation of a historic, it's on the next page, and I'm getting there, building the creation of Newburgh's first contemporary arts gallery, the restoration of the historic Ritz Theater and live arts programming, while providing affordable housing for 128 adults. After 34 years in many other places, Tricia is thrilled to be back in her home state. She is proud to be Jersey strong. Welcome, Tricia. Let's give it up. On the end here, we have Dana Verde. Let's welcome Dana. Dana started her career co-hosting a TV show on MTV called Your Movie Show as a film reviewer while pursuing a degree at the New School University in Media Studies and Screenwriting. She continued her education in film at the London Film School. She earned an MA in filmmaking there. After graduating, Dana returned to the U.S. to direct her independently produced feature film Grand Gesture, nominated by HBO for Best Feature Film at the Martha's Vineyard African American Film Festival and screened in the Best of series at the Black Harvest Film Festival in Chicago. This project attracted Brandon T. Jackson. He solicited Dana to write 2 comedy feature scripts for his production company, Class Clown. Her next project, a spec feature screenplay called The Perfect Match, was produced by Queen Latifah's production company, Flavor Unit, and was distributed by Lionsgate. It debuted at number 6 to the U.S. box office and opened in 925 theaters nationwide. Her love for short films and the short film content led Dana to create 3CK Media, Third Kid Culture Media, a new media production company specializing in digital content. Dana's also ventured into TV commercial directing, has co-directed the Flashdance bucket commercial with DGA-nominated Emmy-winning director David Shane for Paramount+. And recently, she wrote 2 feature TV thrillers for Mar Vista that are streaming on Tubi and a Christmas movie for Lifetime. Let's welcome Dana. And our third judge on the end is Joel Stillerman. Let's give it up for Joel. Joel's a veteran TV and film producer, creative executive known for his work. He has major positions as the chief content officer at Hulu, president of original programming at AMC and the Sundance Channel, as currently serves as the chairman of Content Superba. His notable credits include overseeing acclaimed shows like The Handmaid's Tale, Mad Men, Breaking Bad, The Walking Dead, and Better Call Saul, as well as producing iconic films like Rounders and Blow. But he's famously known for being the husband of our beloved director of education, sitting next to him, Sue Hollenberg, and most importantly, the father of their beloved rescue mutt, Stella. Let's give it up for Joel and Stella and Sue. All right, now that we know who's in charge, let's get the rules. Storytellers, listen up. Jennifer here will give you your time reminders. There's 6 minutes for each story. She will give you a green card when you are halfway through the 3-minute mark. A yellow card indicates you have 1 minute remaining. And the red card means please wrap up your story. Your time has elapsed. The only other rule is to be on theme. We're so excited to hear the diversity of stories tonight. This is always a fantastic audience, so thank you for supporting these wonderful storytellers as they share. There is no intermission, so if you want one last drink or snack, please do that quickly now. Otherwise, we are going to jump in to Do You Remember? Let's put our hands together as we welcome our first storyteller to the stage. This is Danielle Sepulveres. Come on, Danielle.
Hi. Should we just get right to it? I want to use every second that I got just in case. Okay, I'm ready. I remember the moment that I knew that I was a failure at being a hand model. It's a real job, I swear. So this happened in summer of 2015, but to explain it, I got to go back to 2009. In 2009, I was laid off from my job, like many people were, casualty of the mass layoffs going on around the country with the financial crisis. And I was in sales and marketing. I was in the better part of a decade of building what I thought was a career, and I just got absolutely kicked in the teeth. They called us in on a snow day. It was an emergency, state of emergency in New Jersey, and they made us all come in just to send us all home. And I did not know what to do, and I couldn't find a job anywhere, so I started taking work as an extra in TV and film. And I was working on TV shows that were shooting in New Jersey and New York, and during the course of that time, I had a George Costanza moment. And not just because I was unemployed and living with my parents again, but I ran into someone who said, "Oh my gosh, your hands are exquisite. Have you ever thought about being a hand model?" No, I hadn't. So I started auditioning for hand model jobs in between running around being an extra and also trying to build a portfolio as a freelance writer. My very first hand model audition, I went, and another hand model also went to audition, and we sat down with this jewelry designer, and her first question was, "What's your zodiac sign?" And the other girl said, "I'm an Aries," and this jewelry designer just about lost it. She said, "Oh, Aries, magnificent, dramatic, ethereal, just incredible drama. I can't get enough." And then she turns to me and she said, "And you?" And I said, "I'm a Cancer." And she goes, "Okay." I did not get that job. The next audition that I went on for hand modeling, I was actually working that day on set for Gossip Girl, and so I was dressed to the nines because it was one of their big ballroom scenes. So wardrobe had dressed me in this evening gown. I had hair, makeup, jewelry, everything, and my hand model agent called. That's a real thing. And she said, "You need to get to this office by 3:30. You need to audition for this Sally Hansen nail polish campaign. Can you get there?" And I said, "Okay, I'll get there." So I did something you're not supposed to do on set ever. Don't ever do this if you're an extra. I snuck off. And I ran through Manhattan in heels and a dress and all this stuff, and I got there. And when you go to a hand model audition, you basically go in and you do like a quick photograph, maybe a little flourish with the product, whatever it is. So I'm getting ready to go in, and I realize I have all this jewelry on, so I'm taking all this jewelry off, and this big cocktail ring that they had put on me had turned my finger green. And so I took it off and I said, "Oh my God." And I pulled out under eye concealer, and I'm just doing this as fast as I can. And this finger looks completely different than every other finger. And I go in and I do the. And the guy said, "Okay." And it was, my one finger kind of looked like the Mucinex monster. But I did not get that job. But my favorite audition that I went on that I did not get was with my mom. I got called to come in for Diet Coke, and they needed a hand model to hold the can of Diet Coke for this national campaign, but they were also casting mother-daughter duos, real ones, for the commercial. And so I brought my mom with me, and we were having a great time. We got our arms around each other, we're laughing, they're taking photos, we're holding the cans of Coke, and then they say, "Okay, let's separate and take some individual photos." My mom went from being so buoyant and happy to, I would say, a fifth grader on picture day at school who just does not want to have her picture taken. And she suddenly went from this to, and they're photographing her and they're going, "Fran, calm down, be relaxed, be comfortable, do something natural." And I see the wheels turning, and she finally goes, And that was the day I learned that natural to my mom meant jazz fingers for whatever reason. And we did not get that job. But I realized that day, as we were walking along through the city talking about it, that it had now been almost the same amount of time as it had been that my initial career had taken before I had lost everything. And I had built an entirely new one. I had pivoted and found my way in an industry I never thought I would work in. And I was working as a body double and a stand-in, and I had built a portfolio of writing where I was getting published in the Washington Post and Esquire and the LA Times. And it made me realize that I might be the luckiest hand model failure that ever existed. Thank you.
All right, keep it going for Danielle. I don't know if you've seen any of these AI images. The thing they can't get right is hands. Don't give up. You got this. They're not going to replace you. All right, thank you for a wonderful start to our evening, Danielle. Very exciting. Anybody in casting in the room? No? Does these do it for you? No? Okay. We'll keep it moving then. All right, let's welcome up a brand new storyteller to us. This is Jeff Ryan. Come on up, Jeff.
Thank you. I'm not a hand model, but my thumb has blocked a lot of family photographs, so kind of. Last time you'll laugh because I'm talking about Alzheimer's. So, some people, when they get older, they develop Alzheimer's and they have some memory loss issues. Some people also develop TIAs from vascular dementia. My dad, we found out from a clinical trial, has both. So that explained a whole lot of odd behavior that he had over the last decade or so. One time he moved and changed his phone number within a week and never told us. We didn't know where he was for like a year until he just called to say, hey, what's up, just calling. So we decided it was time to put him in an assisted living facility. And he used to live very far away. It would take like a whole day to drive down to visit him and back. The assisted living place is just a few minutes away. So I decided, since he's so close, we can have something called Dad Night. And on Dad Night, I would go to pick him up. We'd drive and watch a movie. We'd eat in the restaurant. And then I'd break him back into the assisted living facility. There's a little code. You put in the code and you open it up, and I can get my dad back inside. I would call around 4 o'clock and tell him I'll be there around 5 or 5:15 or 5:30. And my dad's memory was kind of like a lazy Susan. There's 3 or 4 things on it, and those things don't move, and you can't put anything else on it. So I would show up at 5:15, and there was my dad eating dinner. So I would wait till he finished his first dinner, and then we'd go to the movies, and then he'd have a second dinner. And he'd tell me, you know, I really like root beer, so why don't we have some root beer to drink tonight? And every single week he would tell me, let's get some root beer because I really like root beer, as if he had never told me before, let's have some root beer. But every week we drank a lot of root beer. I had like 3 or 4 different web tabs open to find the right movie for my dad. He used to like everything. He liked old movies, foreign film, dubbed, Oscar bait, but more recently, he only wants middle-aged men with guns shooting things. So I was looking for Liam Neeson, I was looking for Gerard Butler, I was looking for Jason Statham. Oh, thank God there's a Rambo movie that came out that year. That was a no-brainer. One time, we had gotten there early enough to watch the previews, and a preview for Cats played. And my dad leans over to me and goes, let's not see that one. And for that little moment, like my, dad was back. On the way back, inevitably, he would talk about his ex-girlfriend, how their relationship wasn't right, it shouldn't have been over the way it was, how she mistreated him, how he wasn't mean to her. And again, she was on the lazy Susan. I could turn it around, but he could just turn it right back to her. It was stuck in his mind nonstop forever. So that's all he thought about. So whenever we were in the car, that's what he would talk about with me. One week we saw a double feature. We saw The Invisible Man, and then we saw Vin Diesel with guns shooting people. My dad loved Vin Diesel with guns shooting people, but we saw a double feature because the theaters were closing. This was when COVID began. I didn't know how long COVID was going to be. No one knew. We thought it was maybe a month or two. So I told him we're seeing a double feature because we may not be back for a little while. And on the drive back, that was the first time he didn't mention his ex-girlfriend. She was finally off the Lazy Susan, and Dad Night was on the Lazy Susan. So whenever I would call him, he would ask when we could go back to the movies, and that turned out to be a year or so. When I picked him up after a year away or so, he was having a lot of trouble walking. We got him a standing walker, but it only helped for a couple of weeks. You kind of forget how to walk if it's either Alzheimer's or TIAs. I'm not sure what's causing it, but he wasn't able to tell his legs to walk anymore. So the last movie we saw in theaters was Dune. And I'm really glad we got to see Dune because Dune was my dad's favorite book growing up. He told me all about it. He would make fun of the 80s movie all the time, but he got to see a good version of Dune. And a few months after that, he had a TIA and shower, fell down, had to go to the hospital and rehab. And then he didn't go back to assisted living. He went to a nursing home. And I can visit him now, but the TV's on all day. He's a roommate. And it's kind of like the Lazy Susan is empty. I can talk to him and he'll respond, but I thought that we could have some moment that I could put something on the Lazy Susan that would stay there. But maybe going out for all these nights with Dad Nights wasn't for him. Maybe it was for me. Thank you.
Let's keep it going for Jeff. Thank you, Jeff. I love that Lazy Susan analogy. They are frustrating, those Lazy Susans. They never quite give you what you want. All right. Thank you. We're going to keep it going. Let's welcome to the stage another new to us storyteller. This is Munsif Husami. Come on up, Munsif.
Hey. So, this is a story about my mother. Now, here goes. As a child, I couldn't wait for my mother to stop mothering me all the time. I had no clue what a mother's love was. You see, science says that if a mother's body is in danger, the child in her womb can send out stem cells to save her. Now that reminded me of a memory. When I was only 9 but ran a fever so high, it made the breeze feel chilly. My mother quietly replaced a wet rag on my forehead, trying to slow things down. But what stopped the sickness was when she started to sing. The hum of her voice made those dim yellow lights shimmering in the night sit up and notice, like a packed coliseum watching her go into battle, because when it comes to protecting their children, mothers will fight to the death. Of course, my puny fever would not hurt her, but it would take all of her love. Everything she could give, would give, and had to give, because that's just what a mother's love was, right? No terms, no conditions, just good through eternity. So, running on all adrenaline and no sleep, her voice entered the ring, landing hook after hook until my fever was on the ropes, begging for that bell when her haymaker knocked it down. As the night watched, learning what she was made of, there was no one to really run the count. I don't know how that song ended, or when I even passed out, but I do remember this. Her words broke me out of the solitary confinement of being sick at an age when I wouldn't understand what being sick even meant. That 9-year-old fell into a deep sleep, blissfully unaware of the prison break she pulled off with nothing but words, scaring that sickness into submission, wrenching open the bars that held her son captive, while all the sickness could do was watch. That was over 20 years ago, and I've served far more punishing terms since. But even today, when my mind feels cornered and the walls are closing in, I know that I can count on her voice, flying through to break me out of whatever cell I find myself in. Thank you.
Keep it going for Monsef. Beautiful. Thank you so much. Mothers and fathers, let's just do a quick show of hands. Who's a mom? Yes, let's give it up for the moms in the room. It's an easy layup. Where my dad's at. Hi, dads. How we doing? Those core memories of when you're a child. I think when you're sick as a kid, you have no bearing. You have no understanding of how long this will last. That port in the storm, such a beautiful reminder. Thank you. All right, let's keep it going. This is Jessica Catalano. Let's welcome Jessica to the stage. Come on up, Jessica.
Okay, well, this is a story about my father. December 25th, 1992, 5:59 a.m. My father sits on the Q26 in the Flushing depot of the MTA. It was cold then. It used to be cold in December. His back hurts, his legs hurt, everything hurts. It was Christmas Eve last night, so he was entertaining, cooking fish for 3 hours, a little hungover, and he still had like the cigar taste on his tongue. And he was very sad because he knew he wouldn't be able to see us open gifts. His shift was this: 6 a.m. to 10 a.m., break, and then go back 3 to 7. But that wasn't going to work because if he broke at 10, he would never get to see. We wouldn't wait till 10 a.m. to open our gifts. We would wake up at 7. So he had a thought: I'm going to call the depot and take a personal, which everyone knows at the depot means I need to go to the bathroom, so I'm going anywhere. It's possible. My father wasn't like an exemplary bus driver. He never wore his badge. He never did his announcements. He wasn't great, but he knew if he could park at 46th Avenue, he could walk, get in our house, kiss us, watch us in our Christmas glory, right, and leave. Or so he thought. So he's driving and he's going in his head, he's drinking his coffee. Normally he'd have to like tap his legs to stay awake, but like the ticking clock kept him up. So 6:15, he picks up his first passenger. Total drunk 90s punk chick. She didn't like him already, so this was his first problem. She asked him for his coffee. He said, my coffee? Go sit down. Another person the suited man. So this man comes on the bus every single day and he pays in pennies just so we could talk to my father and tells him the same story every day. Buddy, just today, go sit down. It was 6:35 when he picked up his last passengers. It was a grandmother and her grandson. And she's needling him in Korean and he's saying, Grandma, I didn't steal anything from freaking 7-Eleven. And my father's like, just, you guys, you're in my rear view. I'm trying to drive. Can you just go sit down? So everybody's sitting down. He comes to the last stop at 6:51. This is Francis Lewis Boulevard, okay? He gets off, the door hisses. He's thinking everyone's gonna leave right behind him. He gets on a payphone, he calls the depot. It's Catalano, I need to take a personal. Bob, I need to take a personal now, my bladder, I need to. Fine. He gets back on the bus, but everybody's still there. The drunk chick couldn't move. The suited man has nowhere to go, and the grandmother and her grandson, well, they were literally scared to go anywhere. So my father said, okay, I guess we're gonna take a detour. He shuts the door, drives all the way down 46th Avenue. Instead of stopping, he skirts onto 171st Place, and he pulls the bus up to our house. This was definitely against MTA policy. He says, okay, everybody, just stay there. Just stay here, give me 2 minutes. He runs into the house thinking this is gonna be like some Christmas glory moment. He was gonna hear Frank Sinatra. None of that happened. It was pure anarchy. Paper everywhere. Sega Genesis in his ear. Me and my brother are there. I hate you. Santa isn't real. Chaos. I'm crying. He goes to the kitchen. My mother's scrubbing the dishes. What time did they even get up? Like, why? My mother's like, I don't know. So he goes upstairs to use the bathroom, and I remember this moment. I open the window, and I see the bus. I was like, the bus. My brother comes, and we're both looking, and my brother was very tough, and he started crying because he knew he didn't understand, and we really couldn't get it. So we just started chanting, "The bus is for us! The bus is for us!" And my dad comes down after using the bathroom. "The bus isn't for you. The bus is for those people." And my mother comes out. You have the bus outside. What are you doing? You're gonna get fired. He was already, like I said, not the best bus driver in the world. So he gets in the window with us, and then we ask him, I'm like, "Dad, you have to go back to work?" And he's like, "Yeah, I got to go back to work." And at that moment, we all kind of knew what was gonna happen. So we grab Italian bread, plates of lasagna, Capri Sun, we get everything together, cheese salami, we get on the bus, and we spend the rest of the morning just on the bus. Me, the grandmother and her grandson sandwiched in between me and my mother, the suited man telling my brother all about the football journey that he went on, and the drunk woman downing Capri Sun and the life just coming back to her face, and my father driving down 46th Avenue, feeling like the hero of the day. And I remember this story because we tell this story all the time. And I know it kind of gets glazed over with like holiday sparkle and like just youth in general, but it is not something I could ever forget. Thank you very much.
Keep it going for Jessica. The bus is for us. The bus is for us. I've honestly, my entire life, wondered how MTA workers do that. They take it personal. I love that. It's good to know. And if I ever hear it on the radio, I'll have some grace. All right, we are about halfway through our storyteller. Such a fantastic first half. Let's welcome up another new to Montclair Story Slam. This is Nina Rodriguez. Come on up, Nina.
So before we get started with my story, I want to offer you a moment of reflection. When was the last time you answered a call? Or rather, when was the last time you took a chance on yourself? And, maybe it was something you didn't know you could do, or something that you really had not 100% faith that you could do. The reason why I ask is because I always like to relate life to phone calls. Unexpected calls are sometimes the best calls, and they can sometimes lead to something magical that perhaps you didn't think would be as important as it is in your life. And if it scares you, it's probably worth picking up. In 2021, I took the ultimate career pivot. Instead of answering calls that had to do with series development and talent and casting ideas, I began to answer the phone with one simple question. 911, where's your emergency? Contrary to popular belief, in the state of New Jersey, you have to ask where, not like the movies where they say, "What's your emergency?" You always ask where. You need to know where the emergency is happening so you can send aid. I am very much a person who is afraid of their own shadow. I will jump the length of a football field if I see a gnat. So I had a lot of doubts of if I could do this or not. But despite what I felt, despite those fears that I had, I decided to answer the call anyway. Get it? I really learned to embrace the transition of becoming a calm voice in the dark, if you will. Little did I know that this would plant a seed for another one of my wildest dreams coming true. In May of 2022, I got an alert for an event for a casting director that I absolutely admired their work. She was hosting an event celebrating one of her first books that described the idea of casting through her lens. Coming from a small agency, I was one of 3 dispatchers. So whenever I worked on shift, it was always me with the 911 phone, with the admin phone, and talking to the cops, police, and EMS. Typically in the movies, you have somebody at each section, but sometimes I would have 2 phones and 1 phone in each ear, and the police in a microphone just like this. So I had to really just be wise with my time, and I was so afraid of taking PTO. My palms would just sweat profusely at the thought of ever taking off. I would feel so terrible. But I decided, I was like, you know what, this is going to be another call that I answer, and something that I decide to do to pour into my own cup. So I bought the ticket, I called out. I used a PTO day. I recommend you take your PTO if you do have it. And it was one of the best days of my life. Just from the moment that I got into the car and I started to drive to upstate New York, the drive felt really symbolic. If you ever drive on Parkway North, and the Parkway can be really fun, 2-3 lanes at a time. As I started to go into New York, it was like the landscape just opened up in front of me. Instead of just being two narrow, if you will, side pieces, the words are escaping me now, but everything opened up and there was such lush greenery surrounding me. And it was really symbolic of what I would experience and the opportunities that would open up for me. Little did I know when I got there that the casting director would be asking folks in the audience to read sections of her book. Another call I decided to answer when the second opportunity came for an audience member to come up and read an excerpt from her book. It was like gravity switched places with the ceiling and my arm just shot up immediately. I was like, great, we're doing this. And luckily enough, she pointed right at me and said, "What's your name?" I was like, "Nina." So then I walked up, I read the excerpt, I exited stage left once it concluded. It was just such a lovely event, such thought-provoking conversations. Once the event concluded, I was able to meet with Jennifer, and we had a really nice conversation. She was like, "Oh my goodness, Nina, thank you so much again for reading. What is it that you do?" And I was like, "Actually, Jennifer, I'm a 911 dispatcher, but acting is definitely something that I like to do on my off days." And she was like, "Oh, you don't say. Well, keep at it. You did really great today." Little did I know 4 months later, that exact interaction would open another opportunity for me. I was on Instagram scrolling as one does, and on her story, she wrote, "Looking for the 911 operator that came to my event and did a reading." I was like, I think that's me. So I slid into her DMs, as the youth does say, and it so happens that one of her colleagues was looking for a real 911 dispatcher to provide voiceover work in one of his directorial debuts. Not one of them, it was his directorial debut. I jumped at the opportunity. I was like, yes, this is another call I will answer. And I was able to film all of the scenes within the comfort of my closet to absorb any echo or reverb. We were still in the middle of the pandemic, so there was no going into a studio or much interaction. But what happened was he sent me all of the scenes in advance, and I was able to fill in the blanks as a 911 dispatcher would answer. And it was one of the greatest opportunities of a lifetime. It was a really fun opportunity, and I leave you with this. My mom is in the audience, and in celebration of Hispanic Heritage Month, I want to teach you a phrase. It's something that we like to say. It's "El camarón que duerme se lo lleva la corriente." So what that means is the sleeping shrimp will get taken away by the current. So to conclude, to further elaborate what that means, you miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. So always answer the call, especially if it feels scary, because you never know what will come out of it. Thank you so much.
All right, keep it going for Nina. I like the sleeping shrimp over the Gretzky, I gotta be honest. I love that, answering the call, rising above. I tell high schoolers constantly, if you're not a little bit scared, you probably shouldn't do it. Take the chance, take the leap. All right, let's leap into our next storyteller. This is a returner, a veteran of Montclair StorySLAM. This is Carl Kelsch. Welcome to the stage, Carl.
Thanks. So it was the late 90s. I was living in New York City a few years after graduating from NYU, and I was drowning in student debt. But I was also that person who knew all the shortcuts to enjoy New York City culture on the cheap. I knew which museums had which nights for free. I knew that Blue Man Group and the show Hedwig had volunteer usher nights. And this particular night, I had a discount ticket to a preview of a new show opening off-Broadway called De La Guardia. Well, all I knew about this show in advance is that it was coming up from Buenos Aires, where the troupe that developed it did this show in nightclubs, and that the audience would stand for their performance. So I was up for some adventure. I go there that night. We all get funneled into this room, and there's this kind of low ceiling above us, and all of a sudden some music starts and a spotlight shows a performer swinging on a rope overhead, and we can see it through this paper-thin ceiling. And then some balloons fall and some colorful confetti, and then all of a sudden the performer breaks through this paper ceiling, descends into the crowd, picks up a woman in the audience, and lifts her up through the hole in the ceiling. And she's flailing limbs, and we all realize in that moment, anything can happen tonight at this show. This is not your average night of theater. And the paper ceiling gets pulled away, and we proceeded to watch this troupe of 8 aerial artists do these amazing scenes one after another, mostly wordless, beautiful, poetic, quiet moments, loud, aggressive punk rock moments. And at the end of the show, they completely dissolve the barrier between performer and audience by coming down among the audience, and this loud music's thumping, and they're going up to people and getting them to jump up and down. And all of a sudden, within a few minutes, the show ends with everybody culminating in like a dance party. And even the wallflowers are out there moving. It was incredible. We're all just funneling out onto the street with this buzzing energy. And I knew I was like addicted, and I had to go back to the show. It was going to take some time to save up some money. And I would walk past Union Square at that theater, and I would say, not everybody knows that there's a miracle happening in that room 6 nights a week. It was amazing. Finally, I got an opportunity to go see it again. And this time I was watching more carefully, and I saw that the performer who comes down through the ceiling, the person that he's picking up is actually another cast member who's planted in the audience. I was like, wow, that's kind of interesting, but I guess, yeah, no lawsuit, right? Interestingly, though, there are 3 other parts of this show where a performer comes down and does find somebody who's definitely an audience member, feels out whether they seem to be willing, straps them into a harness, and safely brings them up into the air, sort of like a tandem skydive, and lets that person fly over the audience. And we're all looking in awe, and it just tickles you because even if you're not that person, you know that you could have been. So I come out of the show this time and I say, I have to fly at De La Guardia. I have to go back. I went back again and started to realize the odds were against me. Each performance, they pick 3 people. Every time, there's only one of the 3 is a guy. So I'm thinking, I can't, I don't have the money for this habit to be able to fly at De La Guardia. And then somehow I end up meeting somebody who ends up getting cast in the production. Now, Clay was a bartender at a bar that wasn't far from where the theater was. It was a place where I spent some time. And I remember the day that he was telling everybody that he auditioned. And then a little bit after, he's telling us that he got into the show. And he said it wasn't about being an acrobat. It's like he wanted to know you had the right spirit. And I was so excited. And I went home and I thought, oh, I just missed the chance to kind of ask him, how does maybe one fly at De La Guardia? Well, now he's no longer at the bar because he's going into rehearsals. And I'm sitting there thinking, what made me hesitate? There was just something in there that just made me not want to ask, take that opportunity or get his phone number. And luckily, I ended up buying a ticket, and sometime between then, caught him on a Monday night, on an off night when he was picking up someone's shift at the bar. And I said, I got a ticket to see the show. It's going to be my 5th time. I'm so excited to see you in it. But can I ask you, and I was nervous, so I had to have a couple drinks in me even to just get to this point. I said, can I ask you, how does one fly at De La Guardia? Do you think? And he's like, oh, yeah, no, just tell me the date that you're going and, we'll get you up there. I was like, whoa. That was easier than I expected, okay. Now, preparing up to it, though, my mind starts doing a number on me. I'm like, what are really the chances? Like, this is before, smartphones and stuff, so it's like, are people going to know what I look like? The show's so busy, he might not see where I am, and I wore a red shirt. I made sure to email him and tell him that, and I showed up that night, still thinking, okay, some of the other people in the cast might know a guy that wants to fly that night, so I didn't get my hopes up. But halfway through the show, as a couple cast members are down on the ground, coming around me, I realize that it's really gonna happen. And I'm like, oh, I gotta act surprised. So I'm just like, me? So all of a sudden they're putting a harness on me. Everybody can't believe it. This guy, this tall guy standing in the corner, is suddenly gonna be flying up. They lock in the carabiners, and all of a sudden I'm lifted up above this audience, like 40 feet into the air. I'm flying over the crowd, like that person that I always saw the 4 other times I saw it. Now I am that person. I can't believe that I'm out at a show, I bought a ticket, and all of a sudden I'm flying above an audience at an off-Broadway show. It was amazing, and every once in a while when I get that feeling creeping in of there's something I want to go for and I hesitate, I realized then that there is a voice in me, and maybe some other people have it too, that says, don't ask for special favors, you don't deserve special treatment, it's not fair, don't put someone on the spot. And to get past that moment, I just remember the night that I went to De La Guardia and I took flight.
All right, keep it up for a couple cows. Take flight. The red shirt was the key. I like that. I had a recurring dream when I was a child that I could fly. I've always wanted to fly. I want to be an eagle. I'm very land-based, though, if you can't tell. But I could only ever fly as tall as I was, which is like the worst kind of flight. There's so many obstacles. My childhood was rough. We're going to keep it going. Let's welcome up another new to us storyteller. This is Shell A. Carter-Welston. Let's welcome up Shell.
Okay. I just found out I was doing this yesterday, so I'm cheating. That let loose moment. Mine was unearthing my bravery, stepping onto a stage at Joe's Pub for a live storytelling performance. And here I am, again. I'm gonna pretend that I'm here all by myself, making it easier to unleash the secrets that I'm about to set free. I understand keeping secrets. I also understand the cost. When we keep secrets, never writing them down, or better yet, telling them aloud, the secrets die. With them die our histories, our legends, and the lessons they taught us. I can't let that happen. Not on my watch. After my maternal grandmother and then my mother, both of whom I adored, died, I became the matriarch ascendant. Now, that may not mean anything to you, but in our matrilineal tradition, we keep the stories. We are the guardians. We manage the secrets. We hold the magic. In the void that they left behind, I realized that many of their secrets, things I'd known, things I'd heard, and some things I weren't even sure were important, were only known to me. So, at our next family gathering, as we mourned the dead, we began to talk about the pieces of the stories that we knew. And that's when it occurred to me. If we don't tell the stories, a proverb from the Gambia is in fact true. When an elder dies, a library burns to the ground. I can't let that happen. So, that let loose moment? Striding across the stage at Joe's Pub, fully grown at 61, in front of a live and live via digital audience to, for the first time ever, tell a story. And I'm about to do it again. It's always about the stories, isn't it? Last time, the thing in my story was a secret that I'd never confessed to anyone. This time, the story is about that moment. So I walk onto the stage at Joe's Pub 2 hours before curtain. And I wasn't even certain that I had the nerve to do what I'd committed to doing. I stood on the stage, staring into the imaginations of people I knew would soon be in the room, daring myself to enjoy a kind of bravery I'd never known. It might sound like it's about me, but it's not. It's bigger than that. Writing is comfortable. Stories are my cultural currency, and in private spaces, writing allows me to share the stories while remaining quiet and small. I have hidden behind my work. Yet here I am on stage again, challenging myself to be present in the telling. Why now? Well, having walked through a season of sorrow that feels like it's never going to end, 4 years on, the right question is, well, if not now, when? Across my extended family, inclusive of friends of mine for more than 40 years, we've grieved together. We've lost elders. We've watched our redwoods fall. We who remain behind are obligated. So, before I am called to join my ancestors in eternity, I am making certain that the stories in my library get told. So, on the recommendation of a friend, I submitted a pitch to Joe's Pub, which was accepted, and then I steeled myself to confess to those closest to me and everybody else that the person they'd known and loved, they never actually really knew at all. As I sauntered off the stage, I finally understood that I'd been welcomed into the fellowship of the bravest people who have ever lived. I told the truth.
All right, keep it going for Shell. Thank you so much. You may have found out yesterday, but you were prepared. Thank you so much. We have just 2 more storytellers for you tonight. Let's welcome up another returner, another veteran. This is Victoria Gallucci. Come on up, Victoria.
Hi, everybody. Can I lower this a little bit? Okay. I'm going to tell a story about an event that happened to me in September of 1980. It's a story I always remember because it's an event I can never forget. And I'm really glad that I'm here to tell it. Cambridge, Massachusetts, hot September night. I was on my way to a party. I was dressed to kill that night. Vintage black cocktail pants, a ruffled tuxedo shirt, stiletto heels. It was almost 11 p.m. when I got off the T and began the 2-block walk to my friend's house. A few doors from her house, I came across a light blue Ford van parked on the street, side doors wide open, suspiciously unattended. Out of curiosity, I paused in front of the van. Suddenly, a man appeared out of nowhere. I turned to say, "Oh, this is your van." But those words never made it out of my mouth because this man shoved a towel in my face and tried to force me into the van. I knew immediately that if I ended up in that van, I was going to die. So I knocked the towel out of my face, I gripped the van doors with my arms, and I locked one foot on the baseboard, and I began screaming for help. This guy grabbed me by the waist with his left arm and put his right hand over my mouth. I bit his hand, he pulled away and punched me in the face. For the next several seconds, we were locked in a violent struggle. Every time he covered my mouth, I bit him and he punched me. He kept pushing with all his might to break my grip and get me into that van. But I held on as if my life depended on it, because it did. The punches were starting to take a toll, so I decided to become dead weight. I slumped down, I slipped through his arm, dropped to the ground, grabbed the baseboard of the van, and began to shimmy myself underneath it. He grabbed me by the hair in an attempt to pull me back, and he banged my head on the curb to subdue me. But then he lost his grip, and I succeeded in taking shelter under the van. He began pacing back and forth, kicking the tires and muttering to himself. I pleaded with him to walk away. Let me go. I promised I wouldn't tell anybody what happened. Just let me go. He said, no, I have to kill you. And with that, he jumped behind the wheel of the van, started the engine, and proceeded to try to run me over. He backed up and pulled forward several times while I rolled around underneath the van, dodging his tires. I was still screaming for help when he finally gave up and drove away. I got up and stumbled to my friend's house. The next thing I knew, I was in the ER, and a doctor was picking gravel out of my face. And that's when Detective Matt Ryan walked into my life. Given the severity of the attack, Detective Matt had me tell him every single detail of what happened from the time I left my apartment in Boston till I ended up in a Cambridge ER. Matt was gentle but thorough, and with tremendous patience and compassion, he helped me piece together the entire horrible event. I remained calm and collected right up until a nurse came over to him and handed him a bag of filthy, bloody rags. Here are her clothes, she said, for evidence. When I realized the remains of my clothing were those filthy, bloody rags, I broke down. I was crying so hard I was choking. Hey, it's okay, Matt said. These are just clothes. You're alive. It's okay. It's okay. You don't understand, I said. I was going to a party. This was supposed to be a fun night. I was dressed to kill. Listen to me, Matt said. You saved your life tonight. You walked into a trap. The odds were against you, but you fought hard and you saved your life. You weren't dressed to kill tonight. You were dressed to live. You were dressed to live. Thank you.
Go. Wow. Thank you for sharing your strength and bravery with us. Let's take a breath. Did you hear the rain? The universe was doing you a favor, Victoria. Wow, the cinema. Whew. Of course you didn't. You were dialed in. Thank you. How beautiful. Thank you. All right, we're going to round out our final story with a last new storyteller for the night. Thank you all. You've been a fantastic audience. Let's welcome to the stage Karen Coy. Come on up, Karen.
Good evening, everyone. I'm a little nervous. Thank you. The year was 2019. It was the year I turned 50. The year of epic shit. That was the theme. And the destination was Marrakesh, Morocco. The last day of a wonderful vacation, the best vacation, my first solo vacation, my first non-family, non-business overdue vacation. It ended at the feet of the Atlas Mountains. It had been a lifelong dream to go to Morocco. Let's go back to the year 1978. I was in the 3rd grade. Roots came on ABC for the first time. Me and my 7 siblings were all gathered in the living room, me in my favorite spot, sitting almost on top of my father's lap. I was like a little leech. And we watched the show. In the days to follow, the teachers talked about the show. And one teacher said to me that all Black people, quote unquote, come from Africa. So with that in mind, I sat on the floor near my mother's encyclopedias, and I looked into the encyclopedia that featured every African country, its people and culture. Identity was always a thing for me because I never quite fit in anywhere. So as I'm looking through the book, the young girls that most resembled me were from Morocco. So in my 8-year-old mind, I said, okay, I'm gonna be from Morocco. So I told my 3rd grade teacher that, did you know that I'm from Morocco? And she just went with the flow. And being the youngest of 8, no one wanted to argue with me. So from that point on, I was in love with all things Moroccan. Fast forward to the year 2000. I was 31 years old and decided that I wanted to go to culinary school. 2 of my really, really good friends, Mohammed, who was from Morocco, and Bouj Nairobi, which I affectionately nicknamed her. Her name was Bernice, but she was very bougie and from Nairobi, thus the nickname Bouj Nairobi. And we went out after culinary school, after class, looking for a Moroccan restaurant. But at 12:30 in the afternoon, none were open. So for years, it remained on my mind that I had to get to a Moroccan restaurant. Fast forward to the year 2019. I was so lucky that I was the second to last person to find a spot on what turned out to be an all-girls trip. Flew into Casablanca and then took another hop over to Marrakesh and went to Janan Tanamza, a Black-owned riad that was created by a woman who was a lawyer from France. And her family gave her the task of finding a family vacation spot. So the first night there, we were welcomed into her personal home as she began to unfold the story of her architecture and design, her dream that she architect and designed, sorry. So everything was great on this trip, from shopping in the Medina and just wanting to buy everything from artwork to spices. I geeked out on amber oil and saffron to the point that the shop owners told me, that's enough. So I had it in my mind, I always have a get-rich scheme in my mind that I'm gonna get rich, I'm gonna be a saffron dealer. And if you know saffron, you know it's the most expensive spice on earth. So let me just go back really quick and tell you why this trip was so important to me. Because it was a year of healing, a year of restoration. I had turned 50. I had been working 2 jobs with 2 kids in college, out of state, 1 son in timeout, but that's another story for another day. And a mother who was 86 and had lost her sight due to diabetes, but she had not lost her spunk or her vision. And she wasn't easy to care for because it was a constant reminder that I was taking care of her in her house. So on my trip, one of the great things that we did was go to the Atlas Mountains and camp out. It was considered glamping. And I have to tell you, Morocco is one of the most beautiful places I had ever been to. The beef tangine and orange carrot soup was absolutely wonderful. I think it must be something in the soil because carrots don't taste like that in the States. And after riding on this caravan of riding camels with 16 other women from all over the country, I got off and we all just watched the sunset. And I said to myself, girl, you've come a long way. a very long way to experience happiness and peace and healing, true happiness. So take a deep breath and hold it. Hold on to this breath for when you get back home to reflect on, when things get too heavy and too hectic. And just remember this place and all of the epic shit that you bought and all of the epic shit that you ate and all of the epic things that you felt in the year that you turned 50 in Marrakesh, Morocco. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Karen. And let's keep it going for all of our storytellers tonight. Keep it going for yourselves. You've been a fantastic audience. We're good. Thank you, Zach. Appreciate your assist. Judges, we'd love for you to head upstairs to deliberate. The bar will be back open. We'll put some music on. Please meet a storyteller. Meet the person sitting next to you. We'd love for you to engage, build some community here tonight. Let's give it up for our judges one more time.
Hi, everybody. I just want to say before we announce our third place winner that every story was incredible tonight. We got up there.
Yeah, give it up. Give it up.
And just sat down and just appreciated having this experience, this shared experience with all of you. And everyone who was here tonight, I hope that you keep coming back and sharing your stories and telling us more, because they were honestly all so amazing. So I just feel so lucky to have the opportunity to have experienced this with all of you, so thank you. And that said, our third place winner is Munsef Husami.
All right, come on down, Munsef. Congratulations. Here's your Montclair Film swag bag.
Yeah.
If we can get a photo to document the nights. All right, give it up one more time for Munsef.
Thank you so much.
And we'll have our next judge come up. Munsef, if you'll wait up there, we'll get a whole group photo after. If you just wait to the side. Thank you so much. Dana's ready.
I am ready. How's everybody doing?
Woo!
Those stories were amazing. I don't know if some of the people that were reading their stories or saying their stories were looking at my face, but I was like, I was like totally involved. They were amazing. And this story just moved me so much, and I'm so proud to give second place to Victoria Galucci.
All right, Victoria, come on down. Congratulations. All right, nice job, second place. There's a wood block next to you. If you'd like to drum roll, you are welcome to. There you go, Joel.
I'm a professional, Duncan. Give me a cue, I'll take it. Seriously, just to echo what my fellow judges said, well done, everybody. So not easy to stand up here and do what you guys did. Super fun to listen to everybody's stories, emotional, funny, and otherwise. But every competition needs a winner, and we have one, and her name is Jessica Catalano.
All right, Jessica, come on down. Congratulations.
I just want to say, Jessica, my family did not celebrate Christmas, and I had a father. He did not drive a bus, but I was a huge fan of the Honeymooners, and that's probably what really, yeah. But you did a great job. So thank you.
Congratulations, Jessica.
And Merry Christmas.
The bus is for us. All right, can we get all of our winners up for one group picture? And then we'll have all, and judges, could you join us as well for our winners picture? All right, let's get all of our storytellers up. Let's give them one more round of applause. You've been a fantastic audience. Love to document this wonderful evening. All right, thank you so much. Congratulations to our winners. Thank you to our participants. Please check us out, montclairfilm.org. Our festival is obviously fast approaching, and we'll have another Story Slam during the festival. Please submit online. We'd love to hear your stories as well. Get home safe, everybody. Have a good night.